What if a simple piece of spiritual advice could completely transform the course of your life today? Perhaps you've never stopped to think that, amidst the uncertainties, pain, and challenges of everyday life, there's a word from the spiritual world capable of illuminating exactly where you need guidance most. Imagine for a moment that this message isn't just a reflection, but a true secret guide, ready to touch your soul and change the way you see the present and the future. What would happen if, upon hearing this advice, you discovered that you are not alone on your journey, that there are invisible forces trying to guide you to the right path? Stay with me until the end, because what you discover now may surprise you. Throughout the history of spirituality in Brazil, few names carry as much authority and respect as Emmanuel, the spirit who accompanied Chico Xavier for decades, bringing messages of hope, wisdom, and comfort to millions of people. More than a spiritual guide, Emmanuel has become a timeless voice, speaking directly to the human heart, regardless of the era in which we live. But perhaps most impressive is the timeliness of his words. Messages written over half a century ago seem to have been prepared for the dilemmas of the modern world, as if they crossed time to reach you precisely, now, in this moment. Have you ever experienced that, reading or hearing something, and feeling as if that phrase was written especially for you? Spirituality always offers us paths, but we're not always alert enough to perceive the signs. Emmanuel still has. Through his messages, the ability to reveal simple yet profound truths, those that disarm our minds and directly touch the soul. He didn't speak of distant theories, but rather practical advice that could be applied in everyday life, in moments of difficulty, in moments of doubt, or even when life seems meaningless. And what makes all this even more fascinating is that, behind each message, there is a kind of silent invitation to look within ourselves and find the strength we often believe we lack. You might be wondering, but what advice is this? What could Emmanuel possibly say that could truly change my destiny today? That's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video, because the advice you're about to learn isn't just a nice idea to ponder, but a true key to unlocking situations you might be experiencing right now. It could be a complicated relationship, a period of financial insecurity, a period of loneliness, or even that feeling of emptiness that persists throughout your days. Emmanuel brings a different perspective, a vision that transcends the material and delves into the essence of spiritual life. Imagine for a moment Emmanuel, alongside Chico Xavier, dictating words that came from a greater source, filled with love and wisdom. Now, imagine those same words reaching you, as if Emmanuel himself had chosen to speak directly to your heart at this moment. Spirituality has this power to cross barriers, to reach exactly who needs to hear it. And if you're here, it's no coincidence. Perhaps there's a greater reason you found this video. Perhaps this is the moment when the secret advice Emmanuel left begins to reveal itself to you. What you're about to discover now may open your eyes to something that's always been present, but perhaps gone unnoticed in your life. Simple yet powerful guide, capable of showing new paths and awakening a new way of looking at everyday challenges. This is the power of spiritual messages. They not only inspire us, but invite us to action, change, and transformation. And when Emmanuel speaks, it's not just the echo of a guide, but the call of a greater wisdom that wants to see you grow, evolve, and find peace even amidst the storms. And it is precisely at this point that the revelation of Emmanuel's secret counsel begins. Have you ever stopped to think why some words span generations, remain alive, and continue to touch hearts as if they were spoken yesterday? There are messages that are not lost in time because they carry within them the essence of spiritual truth. This is exactly what happens with the teachings of Emmanuel, one of the most respected and influential spirits in the history of spirituality in Brazil. Mentor to Chico Xavier, Emmanuel became a true beacon for millions of people, bringing messages of love, faith, hope, and the evolution of the soul. But what's most impressive is not just the impact his words had in the past, but the power they still have to speak directly to our world today. Stay with me until the end, because what you'll discover now may surprise you. Emmanuel was much more than a spiritual guide. Present in Chico Xavier's psychographies, he represented a bridge between the spiritual and the earthly realms. translating guidance from a higher source so that it could be understood and applied in our practical lives. His messages were simultaneously filled with wisdom and simplicity. And it is precisely this combination that ensures that decades later, they still resonate within us. How many times have you found yourself faced with existential doubt, unsure of which path to take, and wished to hear a friendly voice capable of pointing you in the right direction? This was precisely the role Emmanuel played alongside Chico. Offering advice that went far beyond pretty words, they were invitations to inner transformation. Over more than half a century of psychographies, Emmanuel spoke of patience, forgiveness, unshakable faith, responsibility in life, and the true meaning of spiritual evolution. And even in a time marked by great social and political challenges, he managed to convey messages that went directly to the heart of the human experience. Today, when we revisit his words, it's impossible not to notice how perfectly they fit today's dilemmas. Have you ever been there? Reading something written long ago and feeling as if it were written for you, for your exact moment in life. This is Emmanuel's strength. His guidance seems to mold itself to the heart of the reader or listener, offering each person the answer they most need. It's no coincidence that millions of Brazilians and even people in other countries found in Emmanuel a silent guide, someone who, despite not having set foot on earth in recent centuries, deeply understood human pain, fragility, and hope. His spiritual authority came not from titles, but from the depth of his messages. And that's why so many people still seek comfort, clarity, and solace in his words today. Emmanuel spoke not only about religion, but about life, about choices, about each person's responsibility in shaping their own destiny. But perhaps most intriguing is how advice, given decades ago, manages to fit so precisely into contemporary crises. In a fast-paced world filled with anxiety, loneliness, and constant pressure, his messages sound almost like an antidote. It's as if Emmanuel foresaw the challenges of our time and carefully left instructions so we wouldn't lose our way. You're about to discover now may open your eyes to this in ways you may never have realized. Each time we revisit one of his guidances, it's as if we open a window to the invisible, receiving not just words, but energy, inspiration, and comfort. And if you feel like you've arrived here by chance, perhaps it's important to reflect. Is it really a coincidence? Or is there something greater leading you to this message at this very moment? Emmanuel reminds us that nothing in life is in vain, and that every encounter has a purpose. And it is precisely at this point that we begin to delve into Emmanuel's secret advice, the one that can change not only the way you see challenges, but also the course of your destiny. What if there were spiritual advice so profound and transformative that it could change not only the way you view challenges, but also the way you conduct your own life from now on? Perhaps you're experiencing moments of uncertainty. Perhaps you're facing doubts, pain, or even that feeling of emptiness that persists throughout your days. But what if I told you that Emmanuel, the wise spirit who guided Chico Xavier for so many years, left a message that might be exactly the answer you've been looking for? Stay with me until the end, so what you discover now may surprise you. This advice isn't the result of complicated theories or words far removed from reality. On the contrary, it's a simple and direct call, as if coming from someone who intimately knows our fragilities and our hopes. Emmanuel spoke of patience, unconditional love, faith in the face of trials, it's bad, and responsibility for the choices we make at every moment. And what makes this message so special is the fact that it transcends time and remains alive, relevant, and necessary for all of us. Have you ever experienced this? Come across a phrase that seems to have been written for you at that very moment, when you most needed to hear it. This is how many describe the feeling when they come across Emmanuel's advice. Imagine Emmanuel speaking directly to you now, as if his soft yet firm voice echoed in your mind, bringing clarity and serenity. Imagine that each word was carefully chosen to dissolve the anguish weighing on your heart and to ignite a flame of hope that might have been nearly extinguished. It's as if, from the other side of life, someone reached out to remind you that you are not alone and that there is always a way out, even when everything seems confusing or lost. This secret advice may seem simple at first glance, but it holds a transformative power. Emmanuel said that nothing happens by chance, and that every challenge, no matter how painful, brings with it an opportunity for growth. It's a message that invites us to view difficulties not as punishments, but as paths of learning. How many times have you asked yourself, why is this happening to me? Perhaps the answer lies in this spiritual perspective Emmanuel offers us, showing that patience in the face of trials is in fact an exercise in faith, trust, and evolution. Think for a moment. What if instead of fighting your circumstances, you could see them as an opportunity to become stronger, more aware, more prepared for what lies ahead? This is the kind of transformation that begins within the soul, silently, but which reflects in every aspect of life. Emmanuel wasn't speaking to saints or the perfect. He was speaking to ordinary people like you and me who carry doubts, fears, and limitations, but who also possess an immense capacity to love, learn, and begin anew. The power of this advice lies precisely in how it fits into our lives today, in the 21st century, amidst so much hustle and bustle, pressure, and uncertainty. Hearing his words, we are invited to slow down, take a deep breath, and remember that everything we experience is part of a greater purpose. What you'll discover now can not only ease your pain, but also open your eyes to a new path. And it is precisely here, at this point of revelation, that we begin to delve into the heart of Emmanuel's secret counsel. Have you ever felt lost, unsure of what decision to make, or with that feeling that no matter how hard you try, things just don't turn out the way you hoped? Perhaps in a relationship that seems worn out, perhaps in a financial hardship that insists on pressing in, or even in that silent anguish of finding no purpose amidst the hustle and bustle of everyday life. What if I told you there's spiritual advice capable of transforming precisely these situations? Emmanuel, the wise spirit, who accompanied Chico Xavier, left messages that transcend time and speak directly to our most current pains. Stay with me until the end, because what you'll discover now may surprise you. This advice isn't something distant, meant only for theoretical reflection or moments of prayer. It's a practical guide, designed to be applied to the small and large choices of everyday life. Emmanuel has always emphasized that our lives are the result of our attitudes, thoughts, and choices, and that changing the way we react to difficulties is the first step toward transforming the reality around us. Have you ever experienced this? Realizing that when you change your perspective on a problem, the problem suddenly seems smaller. Well, that's exactly the kind of change Emmanuel's advice can trigger within you. Imagine, for example, someone facing serious financial difficulties. The first natural reaction is anguish, anxiety, and a feeling of helplessness. But Emmanuel reminded us that every trial is also an opportunity to develop patience, discipline, and faith. This doesn't mean standing still, but acting with greater serenity without giving in to despair. The energy that was previously consumed by worry is now channeled into creative solutions and concrete actions. This isn't just advice from beyond... It's a key to opening doors within yourself, doors that may be locked by fear or haste. Now think about a relationship marked by conflict. How many times have you felt that, even though you love someone? Arguments and disagreements take over. Emmanuel reminds us that unconditional love is the foundation of any true relationship. This doesn't mean accepting injustice or giving up, but learning to listen, understand, be patient, and forgive. A calm word can diffuse an entire argument, while a loving gesture at the right time can rekindle the flame of harmony. Have you ever experienced this? A small gesture that completely changes the course of a situation. This is precisely where Emmanuel's message comes to life. And what about anxiety, which has become almost a silent epidemic these days? Emmanuel teaches us that cultivating faith and trust in something greater helps us ease the weight of the present. It's as if he were saying, breathe, trust, do your best, and allow life to take its course. When we stop trying to control everything, we begin to experience greater peace, greater lightness, and even greater clarity in decision-making. It's as if each moment ceases to be a burden and becomes an opportunity for growth. The great beauty of Emmanuel's advice lies in the fact that it is not just a beautiful message, but a living, practical tool accessible to all. It speaks to the mother struggling to raise her children alone, To the young person unsure of which path to take, to the elderly person who feels forgotten, to the person silently asking for an answer, and perhaps it speaks to you right now. What you will discover from now on is how this teaching can become part of your life, transforming not only your way of thinking, but the way you act, feel, and build your own destiny. What if you knew that? Today you could receive a new chance, a real opportunity to start over, to change the way you see life, and to transform paths that seem blocked. Have you ever imagined what it would be like to hold in your hands a kind of spiritual map, capable of guiding your choices and clarifying the doubts that burden your heart? This is precisely the proposal of the messages of Emmanuel, the Spirit, who was at Chico Xavier's side and who still inspires millions of people with his timeless advice. What you'll discover now may surprise you, because it's not just pretty words, but a profound call to reflect on how you've been leading your life. Emmanuel always reminds us that spirituality is not a distant topic or reserved only for moments of pain, but a path of continuous transformation, present in every decision we make and every attitude we choose to cultivate. He invites us to see that life is made of cycles, and that each moment brings with it the opportunity to renew our strength, adjust our course, and begin again more consciously. And this is where the question that can change everything comes. What would you do today if you knew a new opportunity was within your reach? Think for a moment. How many times have you wished for a fresh start, a chance to act differently, to do right where you once went wrong, to embrace what truly matters? Have you ever been there? This is the provocation Emmanuel offers us, and it has the power to open space for reflections that can change destinies. Perhaps you're at a time when life seems overwhelming, where problems pile up and hope persists in hiding. But what if you looked at each obstacle as a lesson life offers you? What if instead of seeing only difficulties, you could see them as an invitation to grow, mature, and become stronger? Emmanuel reminds us that spirituality works like an invisible compass, pointing the way even when the road seems dark. Stay with me until the end, because along this journey, you'll realize that these messages can not only comfort, but also inspire you to act differently. This is the power of spiritual reflection. It connects us with something greater, awakens within us the courage to face challenges, and reminds us that we are never truly alone. When you stop to listen, to silence your mind, and let your heart be touched by words from beyond, something shifts within you. It's as if a new energy is awakened, bringing clarity, serenity, and faith to move forward, no matter who you are or what you're experiencing right now. Emmanuel's message reaches everyone. It's always at the right time. Now I want to extend a special invitation to you. If this message touched your heart, share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. It could be a friend, a family member, or even someone you know who walks in silence, carrying pain they won't reveal to anyone. Often, a simple gesture can be the instrument for someone else to find the light they're searching for. And I also want to hear from you. Leave a comment with the spiritual advice that has most transformed your life so far. Who knows, maybe your experience will be just the inspiration someone else needs. And of course, if you want to continue receiving messages like this, inspired by the teachings of Emmanuel and other great spirits who work for our evolution, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. This way, you'll always be connected to content that not only informs, but also awakens, strengthens, and helps you forge a more conscious and purposeful path. Because maybe this is your new chance. Maybe it's time to open your heart and allow spirituality to guide your next steps. And that's exactly where the reflection I want to share with you begins. And when we talk about spiritual reflection, we're not just talking about listening to a message and letting it pass, but about creating a space for exchange, for collective learning, where each experience can illuminate the path of others. Therefore, I want to extend a special invitation to you who are here with me now. If this topic resonates with you, leave here in the comments what has touched you most so far. It could be a word, a memory, a feeling that arose within you while listening to this message. Your voice matters, and when you share, you create a connection with others who may be going through something similar and need exactly what you have to say. And you know what else? When you like something, YouTube understands that the content is relevant and starts delivering it to more people. It seems like a simple, almost automatic gesture, but it's actually a powerful way to spread this energy of light and hope far beyond the screen in front of you. Each like is like a flame that helps keep this message alive, allowing it to reach those who need it most. And if you feel in your heart that you want to continue following these reflections, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. This way, you'll always be in tune with content that not only informs, but also welcomes, inspires, and strengthens your spiritual journey. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more people with this type of content. It's as if each comment, each subscription, each gesture of support becomes part of an invisible chain that unites us and makes us realize we are not alone on this journey. Because deep down, that's exactly what Emmanuel was talking about. Communion, support, reaching out to one another.
Wow.
And this movement starts here, now with you. What if a simple piece of spiritual advice could completely transform the course of your life today? This question may seem bold, but it's precisely what opens the door to deep reflection on what truly guides our choices. We often believe that destiny is a predefined path from which we cannot escape. But Emmanuel, the spiritual guide who was at Chico Xavier's side, shows us something different. He invites us to see that life is a sequence of decisions, small gestures, and changes in mindset that, little by little, reshape our journey. And therein lies the revelation: what seems fixed and immutable can, in fact, be transformed by a single key that may be missing from your heart. Imagine for a moment that someone had access to the behind-the-scenes of your life, to those hidden truths that you yourself often fail to see. Emmanuel seemed to have that perspective. His messages went beyond words, reaching deep within, revealing the essence we all carry, but which is often hidden behind worries, external pressures, and the hustle and bustle of the modern world. When he spoke about patience, unconditional love, or faith, it wasn't just philosophy. It was as if he were saying, hey, there's something much greater behind your pain. There's a purpose behind every challenge. You just need to learn to see with the eyes of your soul. And perhaps this is precisely what's missing in many moments of our lives, this broader vision. It's courage to go beyond the surface. How many times have you found yourself trapped in negative thoughts, believing there's no way out, that reality is too harsh to be transformed? Emmanuel reminds us that this isn't quite the case. The impact of our choices may seem small at first, but they carry within them a power that grows over time. A gesture of patience can prevent a fight. An act of forgiveness can end years of resentment. A kind word can rekindle a relationship that seemed fated. It's in these details that destiny is shaped. And perhaps you're wondering, but how does this apply to my life today? The answer may lie in how you approach your own dilemmas. Anxiety that seems uncontrollable, for example, can be softened when you begin to trust that there's a greater flow guiding your journey. Financial problems, which weigh so heavily, can become teachers in disguise, teaching us about responsibility, discipline, and even creativity in the face of limitations. And even the feeling of emptiness, of lack of purpose, can be a silent invitation to delve deeper into who you truly are. Isn't it curious to think that the situations that bother us most can actually be secret doors to our growth? Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because Emmanuel not only brought advice, he brought a new way of interpreting life. He taught us that every pain has a hidden message. Every difficulty contains a seed of transformation. This doesn't mean that suffering ceases to exist, but that it takes on new meaning. It's like looking at a storm and, instead of just seeing destruction, perceiving the rain that waters the earth, preparing it to flourish later. This shift in perspective is powerful, because it opens space for hope to breathe within us again. And if you stop and think, you'll realize that this logic doesn't just apply to spirituality. Think about the fields of science, history, or even psychology. Great discoveries have arisen from moments of crisis, mistakes, and failures that forced humanity to rethink its paths. The same thing happens within us. Every stumble can be a learning laboratory. Every fall can become the impetus to rise stronger. Emmanuel simply translates this universal law into simple yet profound words. Everything is an opportunity. Everything is a chance for renewal. The most impressive thing is realizing how relevant these messages remain, even after so many decades. The world has changed, technologies have advanced, but the human heart still faces the same doubts: fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. Emmanuel seemed to anticipate these concerns and offer a practical answer to each of them. It's almost like a map that can be followed step by step. He didn't speak of magic formulas, but of possible attitudes, of conscious choices that anyone can adopt. That's precisely why his words carry weight to this day, because they are universal, because they speak the language of the soul. And if you think about it, isn't that exactly what we're always searching for? A meaning, a light to help us get through difficult days, a truth that gives us the strength to move forward. Emmanuel invites us to see that this light already exists within us, just waiting to be awakened. And what would you do today if you were aware of this? If you realized that you don't need to wait for external circumstances to change to feel peace, but that you can begin now, within yourself, to write a new chapter? Perhaps this is the greatest mystery behind Emmanuel's secret advice. It isn't hidden in rare books or complex words, but in the simplicity of everyday life, in the small gestures that reveal greatness, in the silent choices that shape destinies. And when we realize this, we realize we don't need to look so far. The path is already before us. We just need to have the courage to follow it. Write in the comments, "This makes sense to me." What if I told you that the life of a simple, silent, and dedicated man like Chico Xavier could only achieve such greatness because behind him stood a firm, serene presence, full of spiritual authority? That presence was Emmanuel, a guide who not only conveyed messages, but also shaped Chico's thoughts, attitudes, and even the way he faced the most difficult challenges of his journey. When we speak of Emmanuel, we're not talking about someone distant, trapped in old books or memories of another time. We're talking about a spirit who brought timeless revelations, advice that transcends generations and seems to speak directly to the turbulent reality we live in today. Have you ever felt like a spiritual message reached you exactly when you needed it most? This is the feeling millions of people describe, and they come into contact with the words of this mentor. Emmanuel was more than a mentor. He became a true pillar of transformation for Chico Xavier, and through him for all who came into contact with his psychographies. In his messages, he always reinforced the importance of unwavering faith, love as a path to healing, and evolution as humanity's inevitable destiny. The most fascinating thing is to see how he managed to combine profound philosophy and practical simplicity in a few words, always guiding conscious choices and decisions that led to inner peace. And perhaps that's why so many people remain impacted to this day, because his words are not just advice, but invitations to action, keys to a new mindset. Revisiting his story, it's impossible not to notice the impact he had behind the scenes in Chico's life. While the medium faced criticism, health challenges, and immense responsibilities, Emmanuel remained there, discreet but present, offering the right advice at the right time. Imagine the emotional toll of carrying messages from beyond, of being the target of judgment, while simultaneously maintaining humility and balance. Without the presence of this guide, Chico might not have been able to withstand such pressure. And herein lies a hidden truth that many have yet to grasp. Just as Chico needed a mentor to stay steadfast, each of us also needs a spiritual compass to navigate life's storms. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject because there's a detail few people stop to reflect on. When Emmanuel spoke about love and evolution, he wasn't limited to religious concepts or formal rituals. He spoke of mindset, practical change, and inner transformation. How many times have you found yourself faced with a difficult decision, unsure whether to follow the path of convenience or the path of truth? It's precisely in these moments that Emmanuel's messages come to life. He reminds us that every choice carries with it a greater impact than we imagine, a ripple effect that transcends the present and reverberates throughout our spiritual journey. Imagine, for a moment, Emmanuel sitting before you. The room is silent, only his breathing and the subtle sounds around him. Then he begins to speak, and each word seems to traverse time, as if imbued with a wisdom that never ages. He doesn't use complex speeches. He doesn't fill the air with elaborate phrases. Instead, he speaks with the clarity of someone who deeply understands the human soul, of someone who understands the silent struggles we carry within. His central message, which almost feels like an ancient secret being revealed. Simple, yet powerful. Patience is one of the greatest forms of love and faith. And perhaps upon hearing this, you wonder, how can something so simple be so transformative? Patience, in Emmanuel's eyes, is not resignation or passivity. It is a silent strength, an act of inner courage that allows us to endure trials without losing hope. It is the ability to trust that time is not our enemy, but rather part of a process of growth. And herein lies the hidden truth he reveals to us. When we react impatiently, we disconnect from the natural flow of life. We worry prematurely, and we suffer more than we should. But when we cultivate patience, something changes within us. Begin to see each challenge not as a punishment, but as a necessary step on the journey. Imagine Emmanuel speaking directly to you now, almost as if responding to your most intimate anxieties. He would say that unconditional love is not only what we offer to others, but also what we must learn to offer ourselves, even in the face of our mistakes. Because patience with others begins when we learn to be patient with our own flaws. And this is a revelation few are willing to accept. There is no true love without understanding. There is no understanding without patience. Reflecting on this, it becomes clear why his words remain so relevant. In a world where everything is immediate, where we are pressured to decide, act, and respond in the same instant, Emmanuel reminds us of the value of pausing. The pause that reconnects us with our essence. The pause that allows us to choose better, rather than simply react. This guidance seems tailor-made for today, where quick decisions often distance us from what truly matters. It's as if he's saying, stop fighting against time. Learn to walk with it. See how this connects with your life experience. Many times have you blamed yourself for not getting where you wanted to be? How many times have you felt like you were behind others, comparing your life to others' trajectories? Emmanuel shows us that each journey has its own pace, and that rushing can be precisely what prevents us from achieving what we seek. It's almost like walking a narrow path. If you rush, you stumble. But if you keep your pace steady, every bump in the road becomes a learning experience. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because there's another layer to this advice that, at first glance, might go unnoticed. Patience is not just an individual virtue, but also a tool for collective transformation. When we learn to exercise it in our relationships, we avoid unnecessary conflict, better understand the underlying motives of others' actions, and open space for dialogue. Emmanuel knew that most human pain stems from misunderstanding, hasty judgment, and the inability to put oneself in another person's shoes. He invites us to see beyond the surface, to realize that each person we cross paths with carries within them invisible battles. And only patience can give us the sensitivity necessary to respect these battles. It is at this point that we understand the spiritual dimension of this advice. Patience isn't simply waiting. It's deciding to wait with faith. It's believing that what hasn't happened yet has a reason not to have happened. It's trusting that life possesses an intelligence greater than our own. This mindset puts us in tune with something that goes beyond the immediate, beyond appearances. When you surrender to this trust, you discover that inner peace doesn't depend on external circumstances, but on how you choose to deal with them. This revelation, as presented decades ago, resonates today as a direct response to our concerns. It's almost as if Emmanuel had foreseen the accelerated pace of the 21st century, in which everything has become urgent and disposable. His words resonate as an antidote to collective anxiety, reminding us that true transformation doesn't happen overnight, but in small gestures, sustained over time. And herein lies a powerful reflection. Perhaps the greatest act of love you can offer yourself is to stop blaming yourself for the speed of results and start valuing the process, the path, the journey. If you feel this message spoke directly to your heart, write in the comments, "I'm on this journey too." It'll be incredible to see how many people are reflecting on this same truth. Now, I want to go even deeper into this subject. I want to delve even deeper into this topic, Because understanding the theory of Emmanuel's advice is one thing, but realizing how it manifests in everyday life is truly transformative. Think about your life for a moment. How many times have you felt trapped in a thought pattern that seemed impossible to change? Maybe it's that constant anxiety about the future, or that silent frustration over financial problems that don't resolve themselves the way you'd like, or even the challenges in relationships where every conversation seems to turn into a conflict, and you feel like you're repeating the same mistakes over and over. Emmanuel shows us that patience, unconditional love, and faith are not just abstract concepts, but practical tools capable of changing the way we see and react to these situations. Imagine you're facing financial hardship. It's normal to feel fear, worry, and perhaps even discouragement. But Emmanuel's advice invites us to look at the situation from a different perspective: the impact of our daily attitudes, the mindset we cultivate, and the way we use our time and energy. Instead of reacting with despair or self-punishment, we can view problems as learning opportunities, as a silent laboratory for transformation. Small, conscious decisions, saving a little, seeking creative solutions, planning calmly can yield results that, while subtle at first, completely transform the situation over time. This is the beauty of applying patience and discipline. Change doesn't have to be immediate to be powerful. In relationships, the same principle applies. How many times have you found yourself irritated or impatient with someone close to you? Emmanuel teaches us that every conflict is actually an opportunity to practice empathy, active listening, and forgiveness. By choosing to react calmly, you not only avoid unnecessary stress, but also create an environment conducive to transformation. Patience here isn't passivity, but rather a conscious action that generates a real impact on daily life. And this impact spreads silently. A word of understanding, a gesture of kindness, an act of unconditional love can change the trajectory of an entire relationship. It's at this point that we realize how seemingly simple advice from beyond translates into tangible decisions that shape the reality of each of us. And anxiety, which so often imprisons us, also finds its antidote in this teaching. When we cultivate patience and learn to trust life, we begin to realize that not everything needs to be resolved immediately. Every challenge has its time, every result arrives at the right moment, and our mind finally finds space to breathe. Faith in this context becomes more than a spiritual belief. It is a mindset, a way of interpreting life that allows us to deal with pressure and uncertainty without losing our balance. It is an internal transformation that directly impacts our emotions and decisions. Even the feeling of purposelessness, which so many people experience at some point, can be transformed when we apply these principles. Emmanuel reminds us that true evolution does not depend on external achievements, but on the quality of the choices we make, the love we cultivate, and the patience we apply to ourselves and others. Each step taken consciously, each gesture aligned with these principles, is a small revelation that opens doors within us, unlocking paths that previously seemed inaccessible. And believe me, this is not just advice from beyond. It is a key to unlock doors that were locked within your own heart. Have you ever stopped to realize how many opportunities for transformation go unnoticed due to haste, fear, or anxiety? Applying this advice means starting to notice these opportunities, perceiving life from a deeper perspective, with greater clarity and sensitivity. It's choosing to react differently, even in the face of the most challenging difficulties, and discovering that small changes in attitude can yield surprising results. Every conscious decision, every gesture of patience and unconditional love, every moment of applied faith becomes a bridge that connects the present to possibilities you can't even imagine yet. And when you look at this practically, you realize you don't need to wait for major events or dramatic changes. The power of Emmanuel's advice lies in transforming the ordinary, the everyday, into a sequence of opportunities for evolution. A simple conversation with someone, an act of generosity, a choice to forgive or to rise up in the face of a financial setback, all of these connect, all of these have an impact. And this understanding changes the way we face challenges, because it gives us the sense that every moment carries a purpose, and that our every action has the potential to generate lasting results. And it is precisely this perspective that transforms not only our personal lives, but also the way we relate to the world. Patience, unconditional love, faith in the face of trials, and responsibility for our choices become tools for navigating life's behind-the-scenes situations, dealing with invisible conflicts, and cultivating deeper, more meaningful relationships. When we understand this, we begin to see every difficulty as a learning opportunity, every trial as an impulse to evolve, and every interaction as an opportunity to positively impact those around us. Now, if you feel that this resonates with your heart, comment below. I'm on this journey too. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because the reflection Emmanuel proposes goes beyond abstract concepts and directly touches the way we live each day. Have you ever stopped to think about what you would do if you were aware that a new opportunity is within your reach right now, at this very moment? Not a distant hypothetical opportunity or one conditioned by external events, but a real opening to transform your mindset, your attitudes, and, consequently, your journey. It's amazing how many people spend years seeking grand changes, but ignore the fact that true transformation begins with small, silent decisions in the way they choose to react to each challenge, in the way they perceive each relationship, each obstacle, and each victory. Emmanuel reminds us profoundly and serenely that patience, faith, and unconditional love are in fact tools we have at our disposal every day, ready to shape our reality and reveal the impact of our choices on the lives of others and on ourselves. By observing our own history, we can identify patterns that often repeat themselves. It could be that feeling of stagnation at work, the weight of relationships that seem stuck, the frustration with results that are slow to appear. But here's the big revelation. Each of these challenges carries with it a lesson, an opportunity for transformation that only reveals itself when we shift our mindset. Imagine looking at each difficulty not as an obstacle holding you back, but as a message pointing you in the direction you need to follow. It's as if Emmanuel, by guiding us through his words, is giving us lenses to see the hidden truth in each situation, allowing more conscious choices to guide our personal evolution. This perspective radically changes the way we view our relationships. We often allow ourselves to be carried away by unnecessary conflicts, misunderstandings, or unmet expectations. Emmanuel's advice teaches us to practice deep empathy, to understand that each person carries invisible battles, and that patience, combined with love, is the way to build bridges instead of walls. By applying this principle, we not only minimize tension, but also open space for significant changes to occur naturally, unhurriedly, but with lasting results. It's fascinating to see how seemingly simple attitudes, when guided by this mindset of care and understanding, can trigger surprising impacts. It's both in our lives and in the lives of those around us. And when we talk about decisions, we enter even more powerful territory. Every choice we make, no matter how small, contributes to the fabric of our existence. Emmanuel reminds us that being accountable for our actions means recognizing that we are not at the mercy of chance. We are co-creators of our destiny. This includes practical decisions, such as managing finances, planning for the future, or dealing with the unexpected, but it also encompasses emotional and spiritual choices, such as forgiving, understanding, remaining calm in the face of chaos, and trusting in something greater than ourselves. This awareness connects us to a greater force, to a flow that guides our steps and helps us face life with greater clarity, courage, and purpose. As we reflect on this, we begin to realize that spirituality is not a distant or intangible concept. It is a concrete tool that helps us make decisions more aligned with our essence, transform crises into opportunities, and cultivate inner peace, even when the external world seems chaotic. Emmanuel shows us that faith is not just believing in something invisible, but trusting in our own ability to navigate challenges with wisdom, patience, and love. And it is precisely this combination that allows us to transform seemingly ordinary experiences into moments of profound learning, into revelations that change our trajectory. And if you begin to look at your life through this prism, you'll see how small changes can trigger big transformations. A gesture of kindness, a carefully chosen word, the decision to listen more and judge less. Patience in the face of error, all of these connect and create an invisible network of positive impact. Emmanuel teaches us that the true power of the secret advice lies in its daily application, and how we incorporate it into our routines, interactions, decisions, and thoughts that shape each moment. It's a continuous journey of self-discovery, learning, and evolution that transforms not only the individual, but also the environment around them. Now, when you reflect on all this, you realize that spirituality acts as a guide, offering direction, clarity, and inspiration to face challenges and discover new opportunities for growth. It's an invitation to look more closely within yourself, to recognize that each moment carries a chance for renewal, for alignment with what truly matters, and for positively impacting the world around you. With each conscious decision, each gesture of patience, each act of love, we open doors that previously seemed locked, revealing possibilities that connect us with our essence and the hidden truth of our own lives. If this topic resonates with you, comment below. That makes sense to me. If you've made it this far, it means you've truly allowed yourself to delve into this reflection and absorb every detail of this advice Emmanuel left us. And you know, it's precisely this kind of attention and openness that makes all the difference in your journey of transformation. So, if you feel this content touched your heart or awakened something new within you, take the opportunity to leave a comment saying, "I'm with you until the end." That way, I know we're walking this reflection together. And while you're writing, if you'd like, give the video a like. It's a way to show that you truly connected with what I shared, and in a way, it helps strengthen this space where we can explore profound messages, spiritual reflections, and lessons that can truly impact the lives of those who watch us. Every simple gesture of participation allows us to continue bringing you content like this with the same depth and care. And before you leave, there's a video here that complements this topic and delves even deeper into these ideas about spiritual advice and personal transformation. Click there and stay with me, because the next stage of this journey promises to reveal even more valuable insights, some hidden truths that can change the way you approach challenges, decisions, and even your own path.